views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Welcome to Lyme Talk Radio with Dr. Pat Baccili. Epic healing for an epic life. This inspiring show highlights leading-edge solutions, groundbreaking research, headline topics, and tools for holistic healing and wellness. This hit show is dedicated to raising awareness, promoting advocacy and prevention, and supporting initiatives for optimal health. Dr. Pat is passionate and focused on life-saving results reaching far beyond Lyme disease, providing a forum for powerful stories, heart-opening experiences, and hope-activated solutions. Dr. Pat will shine a light on the many shades of Lyme disease, fueled by a body-mind-spirit remedy. Now here's your host, Dr. Pat.
Hey everyone, it's so great to be connecting with all of you. We're really excited about many things, but we're excited to bring you the contemporary conversations about Lyme disease. And why do I say contemporary? Well, there are a couple of reasons, and let me tell you what they are. You know, first and foremost, we have an understanding of Lyme disease that is so far from the truth of what we know today that it's so important for all of us to be bringing you information about what it is, what it isn't, and what you can do about it. Many of you know that we have talked about, and we're getting ready to also launch a crowdfunding initiative that's based on creating a platform so that information can have the freedom of flow. And that is what we're excited about. You know, there are many people right now raising funds for research and other things. We're going to be raising funds to provide solutions and information. I mean, imagine an entire channel on our network dedicated to this, where people can come in, share their stories, hope, and experience, and most importantly, ways to heal. So thank you all for tuning us in and turning us on. It's great to have you here. I'm so excited to have Kate Hope joining me here on the show. You know, one of the things that I got to learn along the way was there's something about what we put in our body that can help us. And there's something about understanding about what we've put in our bodies that we can also learn more about. You know, what is it that when we get on this journey and we start to look at, you know, whether or not we have Lyme disease, we don't have Lyme disease, is it being diagnosed properly, is it not? The bottom line to all is this, is what the heck are we going to do about it? So Kate is joining me here today as a functional nutritionist, master's degree in applied clinical nutrition, with a powerful story, a journey, you know, not to talk about the agony of defeat, but to talk about how the phoenix gets to rise. And what is it that she's discovered from her own personal healing journey? How does she work with individuals? And how is it she is here to talk about Lyme disease and other chronic conditions? And this is today's show. You know, when you're looking at your life and somebody says the word Lyme, I will tell you this, that if you're living anywhere in the East Coast right now, New Jersey, Connecticut, you are thinking the last thing I want to do is go get a test to find out that I have Lyme disease. And why is that? Because up until now, there have been very few solutions, very few things you could do. But today, as we did with David Larson, you know, a couple of hours ago, we're bringing you ways that you can heal, you can get better, and not empty out your entire life savings. Kate, it's great to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks, Dr. Pat. It's great to be here. Thank you.
You know, it's interesting because I don't really know many people that are stepping up and saying, oh, wait a minute, let me talk about Lyme disease. Let me come out. Let me do a show about it. You know, let me invest my life's energy into talking about Lyme disease. You know, there usually is something going on in the background, either something personal that is involving ourselves, or it could be something we've seen through other people. You know, today we're going to talk about guts, gaps, and Lyme, using the GAPS diet. But before we jump into that, you know, let's talk about your journey. Because here you are with me, both of us talking about Lyme disease, which nobody was really talking about a couple of years ago. How did you get here? How did you get to this point?
Okay, well, I grew up in New York State near the border of Connecticut, actually not too far from the town of Old Lyme, Connecticut, which is ground zero for Lyme disease, as many people know. Mm-hmm. My family lived in a wooded area, and we had lots of animals. I grew up with horses and chickens and dogs and cats, and it wasn't uncommon for us to be picking ticks off the animals. And I also liked to hike in the woods with my brothers. And when we came back from hiking, we'd always have a contest to see who could pick off the most ticks. Kind of funny as I look back on it. But I was never really bothered by them. And if I remember correctly, I feel like most of them were the larger dog ticks and not the deer tick. But now I live in New Jersey in a similar wooded area. And again, I mean, I'm an outdoors person. I'm always gardening or taking walks on wooded trails. And, though I try to be careful, I've gotten quite a few tick bites in my life. I think I just attract them. I always like to say ticks dig me. But anyway.
Good thing to know that you and I haven't lost our sense of humor, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I know some of the more recent ones were the Lyme tick, the deer tick. So, but I guess I became aware of Lyme in the 80s and 90s. My family's dog came down with Lyme. My dad had the signature bullseye rash and was treated. My friend's mom was in the hospital twice with Lyme, and a friend of mine's young daughter was on IV antibiotics for a while. And my son actually was bit and was treated for Lyme when he was about 8 years old. So, I'm not a stranger to Lyme, but I never really thought it would affect me. I thought I had a good constitution throughout life, basically healthy. Maybe that was the case, but, maybe my immune system kept the disease at bay. But it was about 5 or 6 years ago that a number of events kind of came together, and which I believe sort of led to a compromised immune system and allowed me to be more susceptible to Lyme. Yeah. So the first thing was I got literally in the middle of a cat fight, and my cat bit me on the leg, and I wound up with a bad case of cellulitis, and I wound up in the hospital for 4 days on IV antibiotics and oral ones after that, which I'm sure didn't, sit well with my system. I also had a tetanus shot at the time, which I believe I had a reaction to. And then a couple of months later, I got the quote unquote final tick bite that I feel like was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I truly think that it was the tipping point for my immune system. So that's when I started getting all kinds of weird symptoms, the Lyme symptoms.
Well, let's talk about this for a minute because, I was talking to David Larson. David Larson is, he is the gentleman behind a fabulous protocol called Results RNA. And, one of the first of its kind, which is affordable for people and actually works. And I was talking with him the other day, and we were chatting about this and chatting about what you just said. Here you and I were talking about it, and we're kind of lighthearted about it. But our journeys have not been one of lightheartedness, if you know what I mean. And yet at the same time, we're sitting here and we're talking about actually being in a solution. I want to ask you this question. What have you seen change in the past 5 years from your bird's eye view? You're flying up 30,000 feet. What are you seeing that has changed?
You mean in myself or in the Lyme community?
In the Lyme community. In general, the way we're even talking about this.
Well, I think people are talking more about it and becoming more open about it. Celebrities, and there's, I even host a little support group, so people are coming from everywhere and they're starting to really talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, this is the most exciting part of it. I wanted to talk with you about this. Here you are now. And I love what you talked about the immune system, because when David and I were talking the other day, one of the things we started to talk about, what we noticed was something happens to an individual, right? Like in my case, I had shoulder surgery. Something happens to an individual that's kind of like, off the beaten path. You either get a surgery, something followed by high doses of antibiotics, and who knows what else. But this idea that all of a sudden you wake up one day and you are almost incapacitated isn't really the way the story goes, is it?
For me and for many of my clients too, it happens. I mean, it can have a precipitating event, like you said, like a surgery or even an emotional stressful event. But I think the symptoms kind of gradually creep up on you. And mine started with like achy arms and legs and getting really tired. And when I would mention it to my friends, they would say, "Oh, you're just getting old." But I didn't buy that. I just didn't feel right. It just, it didn't feel natural to me. And, then I would get all kinds of twitching and, anxiety issues and sleep issues and weird migrating, shooting pains in my joints and bones and muscles and lots of headaches and sound sensitivity and light sensitivity. So I knew it was, something different.
Yeah, I did.
And I knew I had that last tick bite.
You did. See, and this is really what we're going to talk about today, because some people know they had a tick bite and some people may have gotten that tick bite 10 years earlier. Mm-hmm. But the point is that there's something we can do about it. When we come back, we're going to talk about what next. What happens next? How do you get off of that level of information about yourself and about your health? And how does that put you on a healing journey? How does that put passion into overdrive to find a solution? Well, I'm telling you, there are many stories in history about people that have done that. Today is one of them. Let's take a short break, everyone. We will be right back. I am so thrilled Kate Hope is joining me here today. I'm going to give you lots of information about her, how you can find out more about her on her website, all of the above. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Pat. The ancient Inca root vegetable maca is world-renowned for its wide array of health benefits. As a family-run company of true maca specialists, the maca team's mission is to provide you with fresh, organic, premium quality maca powders at a fair price. Amazing. All of the products are always organically grown, fair-traded, GMO-free, fresh, and potent. So don't take my word for it. Experience the life-changing benefits of maca today. Visit themacateam.com.
Francine Vale is a being of light. She believes that all people of planet Earth are as well. As co-host of the Angel Healer radio show, Francine teaches you heart-centered ways to manifest healing on your own behalf and how to integrate love more fully into your daily life. Connect with your angels as you find your life flowing with ease and harmony. Walk the path of light with Francine and Dr. Pat Baccili every month on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Baccili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases, it's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic.
Tune in to The Truth is Funny with Colette Steffen each Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This hit show will have you thinking outside the box and riding the wave of infinite potential. Join Colette on the Higher Self Network, inspiring listeners to shine their brilliance and ensure success while roaring with laughter as they recognize the humor of the giant cosmic joke. Visit thetruthисfunny.com.
Hey everybody, this is Dr. Pat. Many of you have heard me talk about the Lyme disease epidemic going on right now in the world. I want to tell you about my friends at Results RNA. They have now created an entire Lyme support system for immune system support, detoxification, rejuvenation, and neurological healing. Please visit resultsrna.com to learn more, and for first-time orders, you'll receive a special 10% discount. All you have to do is type in Dr. Pat at checkout.
Sound a little. Do I sound a little? Do I sound a little?
Yeah, everybody, welcome back. You're listening to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm really thrilled about this. You know, Lyme Talk Radio, the reason we're doing this show and have decided to do it and grow this network is for several reasons. First of all, many of you know that right now, the cost of airtime to even have a show like this has just busted through the roofs. And, you know, it's really interesting when I think about this, you know, for those of you out there, you know, we had a show hosted right in the heart of Lyme disease. And who knew that the network would decide to double our rates? Well, they did. And, you know, we're going to put a stop to that because all of you guys have said you want shows like this, you want more of it. And I'm telling you, we are weeks away from launching 10 channels and giving people a venue so that they can take a powerful message out into the world, a message like Kate is doing today. Why? Because somewhere along the way, a life will get saved. A life will get saved. Kate, thank you for joining me here today. You know, let's talk about this. You know, I'm talking here saying a life will be saved, and there's a reason for it. You know, 10 years ago when I started on this journey, I had a friend who was going to come out to Western Washington. We had one of the first natural doctors out here that took this on. And as a matter of fact, she's still saving lives. She's actually on the advisory board to China. And, you know, one of my friends was going to come out here. She was in the film Under Your Skin. She was going to come out here. 2 weeks before she could get on the plane to come out here, she was gone. And this is really now fast forward to today. You and I get to talk about healing. Was that your next step? Was that what put you on a healing journey?
The Lyme?
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, I thought I had a good diet, but when I really examined it, I mean, I turned it around. And I was always into health and nutrition, and it was becoming a nutritionist. But, you know, I really got a chance to examine what I was putting into my body.
So how did that journey begin? And where did it lead you to?
Well, when I got the symptoms, I did go to my doctor, and I had the regular test through LabCorp, and it came out negative. And so just went home, and then the symptoms started ramping up. So I went back to him, and he knew I had the tick bite. So he did give me 2 weeks of the doxycycline. And then in the meantime, I found a Lyme doctor and had a retest through IGeneX lab in California, and the test came back positive. So from then, I went on a regimen of antibiotics, which I didn't really want to. I mean, you know, I wasn't really into taking the medicine, but I really felt like there was an alien inside me, so to speak. And I knew I had to reduce the bacterial load. But on the other side, I just really ramped up my whole nutritional protocol, and I did a lot of mind, body, spirit work to heal myself. And, you know, it's been 5-6 years, but I mean, I feel so much better.
Well, you know, let's talk about this because I asked you a question before about what's changed. I mean, the fact that you and I are sitting here talking about healing, that's what's changed, in my opinion. Because if you go back, many people were given misdiagnosis, but we're talking about something that regardless of whether you're diagnosed or not, you know, what you've discovered will really help support a strong immune system, right? You know,
Absolutely.
let's talk about GAPS diet for a minute, because we're talking about, wait a minute, there's something going on in the body that is not able to heal itself, support itself, take care of foreign things in here. So we're really talking about looking at a systemic approach for this. And that's what you mean when you say body, mind, spirit, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I kind of, you know, go by the rule of the 80-20 And, it's like, what you put in your body has a lot to do with your health, your overall health. And I think people don't realize that. And they're looking for the pill. And, absolutely the pills work. But, you have to do all the other stuff as well to build up your immune system. And the GAPS diet, what it does is it will gently detox, but at the same time, it will build up your immune system so you can naturally fight the infection.
Yeah. Let's tell people the importance of detox, because this is really kind of what we've learned. In my opinion, this is what we've learned in 10 years. Many people, have gone down the pathway of going to the doctor, and all of a sudden now they're on a regimen of antibiotics. Now, even with that, people that have come back and have been on chronic, classified as chronic Lyme, right? And now there's another word for it, another language. The point is they're starting to have problems throughout their system. And now we're putting more antibiotics. But we've now discovered that, my gosh, we've got to start to look at what's going in the body and get some of the stuff in there out of it. That's my version of what detox means. What's yours?
Right. I agree. And I believe that it starts with the gut, because if the gut is compromised, then you're not going to absorb the things that your body needs in order to work properly. And you're not going to be able to eliminate the things that have to get out of your body, like all the toxins. So, I think it starts with the gut, like Hippocrates said, 2,000 years ago. And that's what the GAPS diet is based around. Gut and psychology syndrome is healing and sealing the gut lining, and then everything will work perfectly.
And, this is really when we're talking about the gut for the people tuning in. Give us a description of what you mean by the gut, because I think for many of us that have gone through this, we get it. We have a sense of it. But when we're talking about the gut, we're talking about, the many phases of this. When you say gut to people, they're thinking, oh, you must be talking my stomach. You must be talking about what's going on in the stomach. But we're really talking about a bit more than that, aren't we?
Yeah, we're talking from the mouth to the bottom end. That's your gastrointestinal tract.
Yep.
And it's actually open to the outside. So when you eat and the food passes through your esophagus, your throat, your stomach, your small and large intestines, it's not really in your body until it gets absorbed by the intestinal lining. So the lining of the GI tract is in essence a gatekeeper to your internal body. And the lining is made of epithelial cells, which are similar to the epithelial cells that cover us on the outside, except the intestinal epithelium is only one cell thick. So it's what we call selectively permeable, which means that it lets things in that are supposed to go in and it keeps out what's not supposed to be in there. And the cells are really close together, like bricks in the wall, and the junctions between them are tight, and they'll only let things in that are fully digested. So, in addition, the intestines, your intestines are not really flat. They're rippled, and they have millions of these little villi, which are finger-like projections protruding into the intestines. And there's an expert out there, Dr. Tom O'Brien. Some people might know his name. He's an expert on gluten sensitivity and celiac, and he gives the analogy of shag carpeting. So the intestinal lining is like shag carpeting, and the little shags are the villi. And they're bathed in a nice protective mucus layer that contains beneficial bacteria. This is trillions of bacteria and virus and fungi, which people might say, ew, but it's really necessary, and it's what they call now our intestinal microbiome, and it's really important for our immune system. It actually is our immune system. It's 60 to 80% of our immune system is in our gut. So it's really important for us to keep our gut healthy.
Yeah. I mean, this is part of looking at the picture, the journey, and talking about, okay, this is the game changer for a lot of people. This is really where we are. I mean, so now, this kind of brings us to, what is the GAPS diet? And, many people listening, I'm going to make sure that, when we come back from break, I'm going to give you lots of information about Kate today. But, here we're talking about this, and, this is something that, you've developed. And so what is the GAPS diet? What does it do?
So the GAPS diet stands for gut and psychology syndrome, and it's a protocol to heal and seal your gut lining. And some of the things that it's based around, believe it or not, are nourishing meat stocks or bone broths, which is one of its mainstays, healthy fats, which some people might say, oh, I thought I wasn't supposed to eat fats, but healthy fats are in.
Yep.
Good quality meats, eggs, lots of non-starchy vegetables, fruits, a few allowed legumes that aren't as starchy, nuts and seeds, fresh pressed juices, and fermented foods, which is another one of its mainstays. And obviously all these things should be non-GMO, organic, pastured or grass-fed or wild-caught, or at least as much as possible. Well, so, I was going to say that the diet isn't necessarily like a low-carb diet or a high-fat diet or high-protein or ketogenic or anything like that. Basically what it's doing is it's restricting starchy carbohydrates, and it's promoting adequate, good-quality protein and a good amount of healthy fats. And then it also encourages the fermented foods to repopulate your gut bacteria, which includes some fermented dairy as well.
Wow. Well, we've got lots to talk about. For those of you out there, I want to make sure if you're just tuning in, guts, GAPS, and Lyme, using the GAPS diet as nutritional therapy for Lyme disease with my very special guest, Kate Hope, joining me here today. For those of you out there, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the details of this, but just so you know, you can find out more about Kate. It's really easy. Just go to the website, katehopenutrition.com, katehopenutrition.com, or you can go to our website on Transformation Talk Radio. Just click on the button, click on her picture, and there you go. When we come back, we're going to break this down. What does this mean? Where do you start? And what are the stages of the GAPS diet? How does it work? I'm just sitting here thinking about what you just said, and I'm thinking, boy, that sounds pretty yummy to me. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Called the Oprah of radio by her listeners, award-winning host Dr. Pat Baccili is blowing the doors off of traditional talk radio. Get ready for an energizing delivery and powerful interviews with leaders in the field of human potential. Dr. Pat's fresh, new perspective on living life full out has catapulted her show to the top of talk radio. Tune in and Dr. Pat will help you thrive instead of merely survive. Visit thedrpatshow.com. That's THEDRPatshow.com for listening times in your area.
If you're one of the millions of Americans suffering from anxiety, you probably know how powerless and out of control this emotion can make you feel. This is why it is so important to remember that anxiety is created by your mind, which means that you can learn to use your mind to uncreate it. Hello, my name is Dr. Friedman Schaub. My award-winning book, The Fear and Anxiety Solution, provides you with a step-by-step breakthrough process to understand and resolve the root causes of your anxiety and build a solid foundation of confidence and inner peace. If you're ready to take your power back, visit thefearandanxietysolution.com.
Order your copy of Dr. Friedman Schaub's The Fear and Anxiety Solution today. Visit thefearandanxietysolution.com for more information.
A morning filled with dynamic, inspirational music, spirituality, and uplifting messages by TJ Woodward. Come and connect with community conversations and awaken your senses. Awakened Living Sundays with TJ Woodward. Join TJ every Sunday in the San Francisco Bay Area Chapel at Fort Mason and live streaming online 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Pacific Time. To learn more and access the live stream, visit www.awakenedlivingsf.org.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nutrition Darvish.
Dr. Pat Baccili and Dr. Nutrition Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases. It's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic. Hey everyone, welcome back. It's really great to be connecting with all of you. I'm Dr. Pat. Many of you listen to the Dr. Pat Show. This is a very special edition of that. It is our Lyme Talk Radio show, and I've been so thrilled to be doing with this. Often I am joined by my friend in crime, Dr. Nutrition Darvish, but today I'm doing the solo act with this and talking with someone that knows what it's like to get the diagnosis and what it's like to be able to do something about it. Kate Hope is joining us here today. You can go to katehopenutrition.com, and there's a lot of information about Kate, about GAPS diet, about Lyme, and much more. Today, we're going to take you on a journey, do the best that we can to kind of break this down for you in what it is and how it works. So, Kate, thanks for joining me here today. It's great to have you here.
Sure. Happy to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, let's get into let's talk about this for a little bit and break this down into how the diet actually works. I mean, it's almost silly to call it a diet. It's actually a complete, like awesome nutritional plan, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's a protocol. I mean, you don't have to stay on it forever, but I mean, I think it's a very well-balanced diet, and I consider myself on a modified GAPS diet, probably for life, because I think it's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So many of us, though, right? Because we learned something about this, and then we're like, well, wait a minute. Why do I want to change this? Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm feeling good. I'm something's going on here that feels great. So let's talk about this. I think I read somewhere there are a couple of phases to this, and I'd love for you to take us into more detail. And where do you start with the person? What's the conversation like?
Yeah, well, there's two phases to the diet. The first is called the GAPS introduction diet, and it's kind of strict. And then the second phase that you transition into is the full GAPS diet. That's after the 6 stages of the introduction diet. And with a client, typically I just see where they are. So I start with them, wherever they are. So whether we start with the introduction diet or we start with the full GAPS diet, the full GAPS diet is still a very good healing diet. Mm-hmm. So the introduction diet, you're basically starting with meat stocks and bone broths and some of the meats from making your own meat stocks and non-starchy vegetables like squashes. And you drink ginger tea, which is really good and healing for the gut lining. And then you slowly add fermented foods, which are going to add your beneficial bacteria and start repopulating the good gut bugs. Then you're going to add some eggs, some egg yolks into your soup, and good fats like butter and ghee. And then after that, you can add some avocado, some nut butters, and a wider variety of vegetables. And then after that, you can start juicing vegetables.
Okay.
And then after that, you can add some more meats, and you can start roasting and grilling your meats. And you add other good healthy fats like coconut oil and olive oil. And then you can start baking with some nut butters and nut flours, and you can then start adding a little bit of fruit and honey as sweeteners. So this is the introduction diet. So it's a little bit strict, and people who are very ill might have a problem going right to this introduction diet. So the full GAPS diet has a much wider variety of foods, and it's a lot less restrictive, but it's still prohibiting grains. So there's no grains.
Yeah.
Most legumes are off the table, or super starchy vegetables like potatoes and sweet potatoes and parsnips and things like that. Or obviously highly processed foods or artificial sweeteners.
Okay.
And with the full GAPS diet, you're still eating a lot of the bone broths, a lot of the soups, the meats, the vegetables, healthy fats, the fresh juices, and the fermented foods. So a lot of it is homemade, if you can, to the best of your ability. But it's really a lot of things that we've eaten for hundreds, if not thousands, of years.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody about this the other day on air, and I'm saying, you know what? I had to reflect back on spending time in the kitchen with my grandma, and and watching my grandma and watching how my grandma cooked, and there wasn't anything wasted, so everything got made into a broth. I mean, I'm literally everything. I mean, watch her cook meat, fish, you name it. But somehow, whatever it was, it got made into some kind of broth, and we never knew when it was going to show up. But what is it about this that I wanted to ask you about something, and I don't know if you mentioned it. Did you mention sugar? Because we are like in a sugar addicted kind of crazy place.
Yeah, there's no added sugar whatsoever, and even the fruits aren't allowed until a little bit later on. So even the natural sugar is off the table as well, because it's going to feed the bad bugs and the yeast and the candida, which we want to eliminate first.
Yeah. So I mean, clearly we're learning more and more and more about grains. Now, when we say grains, let's just break this down if we could. Because folks are listening to this and they're hearing grains, and maybe they're thinking, I've just watched the Oprah commercial where she can eat bread. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, no, we better talk about this even further. Because while sugar may be, a transcendent addiction we have, that it doesn't even come close to bread and wheat. Tell us about that, because we don't want that in either, do we?
No. I mean, the GAPS diet is a healing diet. So after a couple of years, if your gut is healed, you can start adding some of the foods that you used to eat. And, personally, I don't think I'll ever go back to gluten-containing grains. And even now, I severely restrict my grains. But the grains, especially the gluten-containing grains like the wheat, rye, and barley, are very irritating to the gut lining. And what gluten can do is open up the tight junctions between the cells of the intestinal lining. And when those junctions are opened, then larger molecules can get through. So undigested food can get through this leaky gut, so to speak, and cause all kinds of problems in your system. So it could be foods that you would normally eat, like bananas or strawberries or nuts or a piece of cheese. But if it's not digested properly, and if you have a leaky gut due to some of these allergenic foods like gluten, then these larger things are going to go through and wreak havoc. And your body, your internal immune system, is going to say, hey, I don't recognize that. It's a foreign invader, so let's attack it. So your body sets up the armed forces to go after these things. And then some of your other tissues get caught in friendly fire, like your thyroid or your adrenals, or, if it crosses the blood-brain barrier into your brain. So this is where we can get all the autoimmune symptoms that, a lot of Lyme patients have. And, and all the other symptoms, the joint pain and the fatigue and the brain fog.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about really bringing things back to a very natural state. And so what we're talking about here is, give the gut some time to clean itself out. I want to come back to the notion of detoxing and just see how does GAPS diet help people in the detoxing phase? Is it the nutritional part of this that does it, or is there something else involved?
Well, I think mostly it's healing the gut. It's healing and sealing the gut lining, because your detoxification system is not going to work properly if everything's not, working in working order. So if your liver and your, gallbladder and your pancreas and your adrenals and, all your organs aren't getting the nutrients, then they're not going to be able to do their job. So they're not going to be able to detox. So that's the first thing. They need to be nourished. And then we need to heal that lining so the bad things don't go in. The bacteria doesn't go in, and these larger undigested particles don't go in. So I think the first thing is to gently heal and seal the gut lining and to gently detox and let your body detox. Normally, after you start healing for a while, then you can do maybe some more juicing, which is going to naturally detox, and maybe, add some supplements in to help it along.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I did want to ask you about too is that this level of detox, when we're detoxing, things are dying off. There's a die-off reaction, let's say. And, many of us that have gone through this, we go through that die-off reaction. How are you helping people to get through that phase of this? Because you and I know that a lot of folks think, oh my gosh, this is not helping me. I'm actually getting worse. But there's a very good reason for that, isn't there?
Yeah. So you are herxing or having a lot of die-off if you are treating yourself for Lyme with antibiotics or herbal protocols. So you need to get that stuff out of your body. So you need to have your whole elimination channels working properly, because if you don't and you're clogged up, then all those toxins are going to stay in your body and roam around and cause all kinds of joint pain and chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia and brain fog. So we need to have the channels of elimination open, and that's really what the GAPS diet does.
Wow. We're going to take a short break, everyone. When we come back, we're going to tell you how you can find out more about the GAPS diet, how to get a copy of the book, what the websites are that you can find out more, how to connect directly on the show with Kate and one-on-one. And then she's going to tell you a lot about what this means for healing. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to start winning at the game of life? Lynn Brown, host of Get Into It, Winning at the Game of Life, is here to help you reach places and goals that you never thought possible. Lynn is an intuitive healer with a specialized background in financial healing. She combines her intuitive nature and her wholesome approach to financial planning. To learn more about her financial planning services, contact her personally at letter R, letter U, intuit.com.
What if we really didn't have to die to go to heaven? Are you curious about the afterlife or rebirth? The highly anticipated new book from author Dr. Susan Allison, You Don't Have to Die to Go to Heaven, is available now. Find out how to find guidance and healing in the spirit realms. Order the book today and put it on your must-read list for 2016. Visit drsusanallison.com to learn more.
There are so many resources out there for meditation. But did you know that Atana's Heart Earth Healing Meditation is available for you for free? Yes, that's right. You can receive this free healing meditation today from Atana Baccili. All you need to do is visit his website, atanamethod.com. That's ATAANA method.com, and sign up. You will receive your free meditation instantly. That's atanamethod.com.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nutrition Darvish.
Dr. Pat Baccili and Dr. Nutrition Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases. It's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic. Hey everybody, this is Dr. Pat. Many of you have heard me talk about the Lyme disease epidemic going on right now in the world. I want to tell you about my friends at Results RNA. They have now created an entire Lyme support system for immune system support, detoxification, rejuvenation, and neurological healing. Please visit resultsrna.com to learn more, and for first-time orders, you'll receive a special 10% discount. All you have to do is type in Dr. Pat at checkout. Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's great to have all of you tuning us in and turning us on. You know, Kate Hope is joining us here today. You know, before we get a little bit deeper into the crux of this here, I wonder if you could just stop for a minute and let folks know how they can find out more about you, but also how they can find out more about GAPS diet.
Okay, so the GAPS diet, you can find the book online. It's called Gut and Psychology Syndrome. And the doctor who wrote the book and developed the protocol is Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride. And you can visit, she has two websites, gaps.me, so that's GAPS.me, and gapsdiet.com. And there's lots of information on there. There are also many online GAPS groups for support. And there are probably over 1,000 certified GAPS practitioners worldwide that you can find on her websites. And then my website is katehopenutrition.com, and you can find me on Facebook and Twitter, under those handles.
Awesome. Okay, let's break this down, because you and I were talking about this during the break, and I'm like, oh my gosh, really? Bone broth. I grew up with bone broth. And it got such an awful rap along the way. But tell us how this works. I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, well, the meat stocks or bone broths are one of the GAPS diet's mainstays. And yes, they're definitely enjoying a lot of popularity these days, but they've been around for forever. And were used by many cultures for healing purposes. They contain tons of vitamins and minerals and amino acids and other nutrients in a more bioavailable form, so they're more easily digested and absorbed into the system. And specifically, some of the more important nutrients that bone broths have are some of the amino acids like glycine, proline, and glutamine, which are very important nutrients for your intestinal cells. And these intestinal cells are called enterocytes. So they're really good food for the enterocytes. Glycine, which is one of them, helps make bile salts, which is important for digestion. And a lot of people with Lyme or a compromised immune system have trouble making enough bile to digest fat. So glycine is good for that. Glycine also helps make glutathione, which is your body's major antioxidant, and a lot of Lyme patients wind up taking glutathione supplements because they're so depleted in it. Yeah. So, glycine is good for as one of the building blocks for the glutathione. Also has glycine. Glycine is also a neurotransmitter. So with people who have sleep and memory problems, AKA a lot of Lyme patients, glycine, again, is really important as a neurotransmitter. Another one of the amino acids is proline, and proline can help make proteins. And then glutamine is the preferred fuel for these enterocytes or these gut cells. So glutamine is really important too. And a lot of people do take a glutamine supplement as well. They can take L-glutamine. Bone broth also has lots of collagen and gelatin, and this can support all your connective tissue and your bones and your tendons and your skin as well. And the bone broths are really easy to make. So if people say, oh, well, where do I get them? You can make them yourself, and it's actually better to make them in your own kitchen with love and, all the good organic and non-GMO ingredients. And the GAPS program teaches you how to make these. So you can read them in the book, or you can go on one of these support groups. But basically, you put a bunch of bones in a pot and you cover them and you simmer them in water. And Dr. McBride recommends that you simmer them for maybe like an hour and a half if you're going to make a fish stock, because you could also make them out of fish, up to maybe 2 hours for chicken, maybe a little bit longer, 3 hours or more for beef or lamb. But some people cook the broths for a long time. And in the broth world now, the bone broth world, a lot of people do it overnight or even longer, sometimes 24 to 48 hours to really break down the bones and to get the minerals and all the collagen out. The only thing is in the beginning for the GAPS diet, sometimes that's a little bit strong. So you might want to cook them for a little bit shorter period of time.
Yeah. I mean, really what we're talking about, though, is we're talking about going back to some basics. And the reason I say that is I can tell you that, now we live in the world of crock pots. So, I mean, this is really where we are so ready to just take the exact ingredients you just talked about, the items that would make a broth, and we can get this going 24/7. And what I loved about what you said is that you do this in a way and fuel this by using ingredients that are going to help the immune system in general, right?
Definitely.
One of the things we didn't talk about, and I wanted to ask you about it, I remember early on in this journey, garlic had become a very big component. Now, I don't know why Dr. Darvish, came up with the things she came up with, because, this was layer after layer of getting through this. But what do you think about things like garlic, oregano? Where do they fit in or not?
Well, herbs and spices, when I usually talk about supplements, I'll throw in herbs and spices, which are natural. So yes, and the GAPS diet promotes the use of herbs and spices from day one, depending on tolerance. Things like onions and garlic, some people have a problem with. They're a FODMAP. They have the disaccharides and things that are a little bit harder to digest.
Yeah.
So but overall, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. One of the things we did not talk about, now I know we've only got a couple of minutes left. Water. I find that was, in my own situation, one of the hardest things to train myself about. And generally, 80% of the people that I talk with, they still find it hard to drink water. What can you say to help us along here with that conversation?
I like to recommend people put lemon in their water. It makes it go down a little easier, and it can help alkalize your body and regulate the pH of your body. It's very healing. You got to get the water in. Yeah. Like
because
eight
that's how
glasses
you get
if you can.
Yeah, that's how you get the bugs out, though.
Absolutely.
That's kind of the bottom line to that, isn't it?
Yeah. For regularity, for keeping your channels of elimination open and to flushing all the toxins out.
Wow. I know we've got a couple of minutes left. Thank you for today. And I want to ask you, what's your personal message? And please, again, give out your website. Thank you so much for today.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I tell people that nutrition really matters in healing Lyme. I say, honor your body with every bite. Whatever you put in your body is either helping or hurting you. So eat deliberately and consciously because, I know it's trite, but food really is your medicine. Another thing I would say is take away the offending foods and then start adding things like the nourishing bone broths and the fermented foods that are going to repopulate your gut bacteria. Add some good fats. Don't be afraid of fats to start healing and sealing that gut lining. And this will crowd out the bad guys and strengthen your immune system as you start healing and sealing this gut lining. And then the last thing I usually tell people is, know that you're not alone. I think Lyme patients often feel like nobody understands. And, there is a community out there. There's definitely a community out there. There's, many people to support you. There's GAPS groups. There may be one in your community. There are certainly many online. Just go to gaps.me or gapsdiet.com for more information. And if you have any questions for me, again, my website is katehopenutrition.com.
Awesome. Kate, thank you so much for today. I want to thank all of you for tuning us in and turning us on. We've got lots more to share with you in the weeks to come. And remember, check us out, LymeTalkRadio.com, thedrpatshow.com, TransformationTalkRadio.com, and lots more. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Lyme Talk Radio with Dr. Pat Baccili, Epic Healing for an Epic Life. This inspiring show highlights leading-edge solutions, groundbreaking research, headline topics, and tools for holistic healing and wellness. This hit show is dedicated to raising awareness, promoting advocacy and prevention, and supporting initiatives for optimal health. Dr. Pat is passionate and focused on life-saving results reaching far beyond Lyme disease, providing a forum for powerful stories, heart-opening experiences, and hope-activated solutions. Dr. Pat will shine a light on the many shades of Lyme disease, fueled by a body-mind-spirit remedy. For more information, visit LymeTalkRadio.com and tune in next time.